Hey there, it's Tom Corson-Knowles, #1 best-selling author of Secrets of the Six-Figure Author and founder of TCK Publishing. In this video, video number 3 in the How to Earn a Full-Time Income as an Author training series, I'm going to show you how to break through the 5 biggest barriers to lasting success as an author. All right, let's dive in. So obstacle number 1, one of the biggest obstacles to success as an author, I call ego. Now, I'm not talking about like Freudian ego or any kind of psychological thing like that. Really, for me, what ego is about is it's kind of like the way you look at yourself in relationship to the world, right? And so there's 3 main components of this that I've found that really hold authors back from achieving success. So number 1 is expectations. And we'll talk about that. Number 2 is attachments, when we get attached to the way things are or the way things are supposed to be in our minds. And then number 3 is emotions, making sure that we're actually handling our emotions in a professional way that's not alienating or harming the people in our lives who can help us achieve our dreams and become successful. So first of all, let's talk about expectations. So essentially, when you have an expectation about how the future has to be, essentially what you're saying is, look, if X doesn't happen the way I want it to happen, when I want it to happen, it's not okay. I'm not okay, it's not okay, the world's not okay, it's not okay for that to happen, right? So, if some authors will say, I've got a goal of $10,000 a month in passive income every month. And if I don't achieve that goal, 6 months from now or a year from now or whatever their date is in their mind, they're essentially saying, it's not okay, I'm not okay. And what I've found is that time and time again, when we have new clients, whether it's publishing clients at TCK Publishing or just people who hire me for coaching and consulting and mentoring, like every single time someone says, I have a specific goal, I want this much money by this date, and that's their main concern, like their number 1 thing they're focused on is that goal, that expectation of what the future results should look like, they always fail. Right? Sometimes they achieve their goal, but they always fail in the sense that they're never happy with the results they get. They usually get less results than they would get otherwise because they're so focused on their expectations. They're so focused on how they think the future has to be that they're not actually focused in the present moment, working to make their dreams become a reality. And that's the biggest problem with expectations, is that it takes all your focus, all your energy, all your attention away from the present moment. So instead of thinking about, when you wake up in the morning, what can I do today to make my goals come true? You're thinking about, oh, I'm going to have this future, this future thing of $10,000 a month. I'm going to have this goal. I'm going to achieve this. And you're so focused on your expectations, you're so focused on your mind and your thoughts about the future that you forget to focus on the present moment and actually do the work that it takes to be successful. So if you have expectations, I encourage you just let them go. Let go of all expectations. Now, it's okay to have a goal, but I don't think you need to look at your goal every single day and constantly remind yourself of what your goal is. I think instead, every single day, have the habit of what can I do today to move towards my dreams, to move towards my goal, to move in the direction I want to move with my life. Right? So if you want to become a published author, what can you do today to make that dream come a little bit closer? What action steps can you take right now to move towards that goal? And let go of the expectations, because the thing with the expectations is it's never going to happen exactly the way you want it to happen, exactly when you want it to happen, right? So if you have a goal for $10,000 a month in income, the actual month, like when that was my goal. My goal was $10,000 a month in income from royalties. And then the first month I actually, achieved that goal. I had like $12,570 some dollars in royalties that month, right? So I didn't hit the goal exactly, right? Was I happy? Absolutely, I was happy. I was thrilled, right? But it didn't happen exactly the way I wanted it to happen, right? And the month before, I had only made, I think like $5,000 the month before that, right? So was that a failure? Well, no. For me, it was success because the goal for me was just something to aim for. It was to get my sail going in the right direction, right? It's to turn your boat, your life in the right direction. And as long as you're constantly moving forward in the right direction, as long as you're making progress in the right direction, I think you should be happy with that. I think you should be happy to make consistent progress in the right direction, regardless of whether or not you achieve a certain financial number at a certain time in life or New York Times bestseller status or whatever other expectations you have. So I invite you to let go of your expectations and just focus on what can you do today to move in the right direction. That to me is the sign of a successful author. When I see a brand new author with no experience, no proven results, no proven track record, but they're constantly focused on what they can do right now in the present moment to move forward, and they're not stuck to certain expectations of what they think has to happen in the future, those are the people I know are going to be successful. And that, experience has proven that to me time and time again. Those are the folks who are successful because they're focused on what actually matters, which is the activity you take on a daily basis to achieve your goals. Now, number 2 element of ego is attachments, right? Being attached to expectations, being attached to the way you think should be, and being attached to your emotions. There's all kinds of things you can be attached to, right? So, a lot of times an author will say something like, the book cover has to be exactly like this. And essentially what they're saying is because I'm attached to my opinion of the way I think things should be, right? And if you look at, the real world, the way the world works, right? Just because you have an opinion with your limited information doesn't mean that your opinion is correct, right? And so you have to constantly be open to new advice, to new ideas, to new opinions, to new ways of doing things. Because if you want to be successful, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. And you can't expect that, your opinion of what a book cover design should look like, as a first-time author with no design experience and no background in marketing, you can't really expect your opinion on that matter to be quote unquote correct, right? To be the best opinion in the world. There's probably a lot of other people out there with more educated opinions who can help you design a better book cover. So if you can let go of those kinds of attachments to the way you think things have to be, then what you can do is you can let your team, you can let your people you're working with, you can let people who are more experienced help you and guide you along that journey. So you always want to be open to new information. You always want to be open to new ideas. And new ideas, new information can always be wrong, right? You run that risk when you have an open mind. You run the risk of, believing things that aren't true, right? But you run that same risk if you only are attached to your own existing opinion and don't accept new ideas and new information. And the thing is, the world is constantly changing. So if you don't change your ideas and opinions along with the world, then you're pretty much guaranteed that your opinions don't line up with reality. And so when you're attached to opinions and beliefs about the world that don't line up with reality, that's when you start to make bad decisions, right? Because you're making decisions not based on the way the world actually is, but based on your beliefs about the world, which are your opinions, which are not 100% accurate. Now, the number 3 element here of ego that I've noticed is emotions. Right? And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that your emotions, first of all, don't get in the way of making good decisions, right? Now, certainly emotions are a wonderful tool. If you are, emotionally educated and you listen to yourself and you study yourself and your emotions, you can learn a massive amount from that, right? And they can actually help you make better decisions. But if you make an instant snap decision in a moment based only on emotion, you're often going to be led astray. Right? Another thing with emotions is you want to make sure you always treat your team members with kindness and integrity, right? So you don't if you're having a bad day or you're angry or you're upset about something, your expectations didn't go as you thought they would, always treat your team members with kindness and integrity. And same thing, when I'm talking about team members, I'm not just talking about, your publisher and your editor and, ghost writers and marketers and PR people and agents, right? I'm also talking about customers and family members and every single person you interact with in life. As part of your team, right? Because as far as we know, you only get one life on this planet, right? And so during this life, all the people that you interact with, right? Those are people on your team, whether they are consciously working with you or not, they're in your life, right? Your family's part of your team. All the people you interact with are part of your team. The people at the grocery store that help you find food for your family, they're a part of your team. And so always treat everyone with kindness and integrity, and don't let emotions get in the way of making good decisions and treating people well. So if you're having a bad day, learn to manage your emotions, right? Learn to meditate, learn to take care of yourself so that you can treat others well. You can treat yourself well first and foremost, so you can treat others well. Because the biggest thing that will stop you in your tracks from success is alienating other people. Right? If you yell at someone in business and you lash out at them because you're angry or you're hurt or whatever, it's unlikely that person's going to continue to do business with you, right? And if they do, they're probably not going to give you 100% of their effort and energy, right? Why? Because once you have kind of hurt someone in that way, unless you make up for it and heal that wound, it's always going to be there, right? And so those kinds of simple little mistakes, one little innocent conversation seemingly where you lash out, you snap at someone, can ruin your career. Don't let the emotions get the best of you. Study emotional intelligence, study your emotions. Now, another way I look at kind of managing ego for myself and what I recommend for you is to always look at it this way. Always try to be coachable, right? Always try to be willing to learn, to be willing to accept new information, to be willing to accept new ideas. So that if you get an email from someone and they say something that you don't agree with, that completely goes against all your expectations, all your attachments, and all your emotions, you take the time to reflect on that, right? If you get a 1-star review for your book and says, you're the worst writer ever, and here's all the mistakes you made, right? Instead of lashing out and writing a nasty comment back to that reviewer, take the time, get over your emotions, meditate on that, let that go, release that, and then come back to that information to see what grain of truth is there that you can learn from, what new ideas or concepts are there that you can learn from. That you can then have this new view of how the world actually is, and then you can decide if you want to take action based on that. Because a lot of times, some of the best lessons you'll get in life aren't wrapped up in a nice little bow, right? You get those 1-star reviews, it's horrible and it's scathing and it makes you feel terrible, but there's this nugget of wisdom in there if you're willing to look for it, and if you're willing to find that, and if you make that change, if you integrate that new information into what you do, how you write your next book, how you go about marketing your books. If you make those little tweaks, it can make all the difference in your career. But to do that, you have to get the ego out of the way, and you have to learn to handle your emotions. You have to learn to let go of the attachments, let go of the expectations, and react to the way the world actually is right now. All right, now the number 2 barrier to success is motivation. And you probably know this. I'm sure you found times in your life where you were just so motivated and you just couldn't wait to get to work on your book or to work on a project, and you had so much motivation, it just seemed like it was easy to succeed. It was just easy to get the work done. And you probably had other times in your life where you didn't have any motivation at all, and it just seemed like you were just sitting on the couch and procrastinating for months or years or more, and you just couldn't seem to get your goals achieved. You just couldn't seem to get the most important work done because you didn't have the motivation. And I've found that there's 2 types of motivation in life, and there's a lot of research behind this, but eventually there's internal motivation and external motivation. And what the research shows is that folks who have no internal motivation but have lots of external motivation, they tend to fail, right? They tend to not maintain their motivation. They tend to not maintain their effort. They tend to give up prematurely. Whereas folks who have lots of internal motivation, and in the research is also called locus of control, so internal locus of control versus external locus of control. What they focus on are things that aren't about external results. They focus on their internal reality. They focus on what they really want in life and the activity, right? They focus on the present moment, the activity, instead of something far off in the future. So examples of external motivation are things like fame and money and looking good and prestige and how many books you sold, right? These are all external motivators, right? And so I know a lot of people want fame, and a lot of people want a lot of money, and a lot of people want to look good and feel good, and a lot of people want prestige, and they want to be known as an authority. They want to be known as a successful author, and you want to have lots of book sales, and there's nothing wrong with any of these things. The problem is, the challenge comes that when you have all these expectations, when you are attached to all of these external motivators, what happens is you become detached from the internal motivators. And when you become detached from the internal motivators, you stop doing the actual work it takes to create these external results. So it's kind of like a catch-22. If you focus entirely on external motivators and external results, you end up never actually doing the action, never actually doing the work it takes to create those results in the first place. And so you become kind of stuck. It's like this self-fulfilling prophecy where you become stuck, always wanting, always having a goal, always hoping you'll achieve this thing, but never actually being willing to do the work to make it happen. Now, internal motivation is about, contribution, right? The work effort, the activity you put in. It's about, the pride you take in your work, the joy you get from your work itself. It's about making a difference, fun and passion, right? These are all things that you can feel. It's almost like an emotional energy. Like when you're writing a book, I know you know what it's like to just love to write your book, to get in the flow state. That internal motivation, that internal joy you get from doing the work, that's the key to success. If you can focus on that and focus on continuing to do the activity, continuing to write books, continuing to market and post on social media or whatever marketing strategies you're using, to continue to do that on a consistent basis. And you focus, and that's your motivator, right? So every day you get up and you say, what am I going to do today? What's my goal today? My goal is to, enjoy writing. My goal is to write 1,000 words. My goal is to do X, put in this amount of effort, this amount of work, this amount of joy, this amount of passion, this amount of energy into what you're doing. That's how you become successful. So I want you to check in with yourself right now. Grab your notebook, grab your pen, and write down this question. What are my internal motivators and what are my external motivators? What's really motivating you right now in this moment? What's really motivating you? And then ask yourself, what is going to motivate you a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, right? A lot of the authors I know who are incredibly successful, earning $10,000 a month, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month or more in royalties every single month. Those folks, almost every single one of them that I know, they're almost entirely internally motivated. They would continue writing and publishing books if they never got paid a dime for it, because they love what they do. They are so passionate about what they do. They are so thrilled and so grateful that they get to spend their life writing books, sharing stories, sharing ideas. They would do it without ever getting paid. They are not motivated by external results. The funny thing is, though, that because they're so internally motivated, because they love what they do so much, they're constantly getting better at it. They're constantly doing it. They're doing it more than other folks. And guess what? They get the external results. Those are the people you see who are rich and famous and successful, and you feel like, I could never achieve something like that. But it's really simple, right? They didn't focus on that. A lot of the millionaires I know, their goal wasn't to become a millionaire. They had a business idea, they had a book they wanted to write, they had a business they wanted to start, they had a difference they wanted to make in the world, and they just focused on the internal motivation. They focused on their mission. They focused on their purpose in life, and every day they worked towards that, and eventually they got there. They got all the external results, and everyone said, oh, you're so successful overnight, and oh, you're so amazing, you have all these great things. But they never focused on the things. They never focused on the external stuff. They focused on the day in, day out internal motivation. That's what makes the difference. All right, now the number 3 obstacle to success that is so common for folks is habits. Habit is the root of all success, and it's also the root of all failure. If you do not have the right habits, if you have lots of bad habits and you don't change those habits, guess what? Your future is going to look like about what it looks like right now. Think about it. Like right now, you are in the habit of doing whatever habits you have. So whatever results you got last year, if you continue the same habits next year and the year after that and the year after that and the year after that, you're just going to continue getting the same results. If you want different results in life, you have to take different activity, and you have to do it consistently. And the only way to do that is by changing your habits. So first of all, obviously you want to develop good habits. Daily consistent activity is the key to success. So you have to have good habits. So here are some examples of good habits that I think every author should really focus on creating. So first of all is writing. You have to have good writing habits, because if you leave your writing up to chance, if you leave your writing up to inspiration, you're going to have really long periods of time where you're not writing at all. And you're going to need some kind of like external motivation to get you going, because you're like, well, I haven't written anything in 2 months, and I really feel like I should be writing, and you start to like get all the shame and all these emotions around writing, and like you're embarrassed that you didn't write, and then you feel shame about being embarrassed that you didn't write, and it's like all these emotions just stack on each other. It's like this horrible vicious cycle that you can get into of procrastination, of not taking action. So instead of letting yourself get stuck in those traps, I recommend just set up good writing habits, right? Schedule time in your calendar. Find the same time of day every day, the same location. Where are you going to write every day? When is it going to be? How much are you going to write? What's the writing processes you're going to learn and study and get better at, so that every time you sit down to write, you're more and more productive? Because if you write the same way, if let's say you have an hour every day you're going to write. That's great. So you have this habit now where every single day you're writing for an hour. But if your writing process is the same process you used in grade school, then you're probably not going to be very effective, right? A lot of folks have like writer's block and things like that because they don't have effective writing habits. They don't have a process in place that helps them get their thoughts organized. They're not plotting out their novels. They're not plotting out their books. They're not taking the simple actions that they could take to make sure that the time they spend writing is actually really, really productive. So all of these things need to be in your habits. You have to have the where, the when, the how much, and the writing processes that actually work for you in place. So develop those good writing habits. Now, another element is health. I don't know anything in life that's really more important in terms of your success than taking care of your health. Because, who cares if you're a millionaire or a billionaire, all the money in the world, if you don't have the health to enjoy it? Who cares if you have a great family and a great marriage and all these great successes in life, but you don't have the health to enjoy it, right? What's the point? So I think health is crucial. The other great thing about health, when you actually start to take care of your health, what happens is that you have more energy. You're more creative. You're able to write for longer periods of time. You're able to focus and concentrate for longer periods of time. A lot of folks have like brain fog because their nutrition is so bad, their exercise is so bad, their body is healthy, their brain is literally sick. And so they can't focus, they can't concentrate, they can't get lots of good work done. So by simply taking care of some simple health habits, you can dramatically improve your health, improve your energy, and that's going to improve your success and your work output as an author, as a writer. And I've seen it time and time again, some simple changes in your exercise program, in your eating patterns, making sure you're getting enough sleep at night, basic things. It sounds like it's so basic. Like, obviously, Tom, of course, everyone should eat right and sleep at night and exercise. Yeah, everyone knows that, but are you actually doing it? Right? Are you actually implementing what you know? See, there's two kinds of quote unquote knowledge in life. There's the knowledge that you have in your mind, right? Like, I know I should eat well. I know I should have good habits. You can have this concept in your mind that you should, but are you actually doing it? There's a big difference between knowledge, having ideas in your head of what you should do, and actually applying that. Applied knowledge is power. There's a great quote, knowledge is power, right? But it's not true. Applied knowledge is power. If you know everything, how to eat well and how to exercise well and how to write best-selling books, you know all this information in your mind, but you don't apply what you know, you're not going to be successful, right? And that's not power. I mean, it's not power to have all these great ideas and know all these wonderful things and never actually do anything with it. So make sure that you're implementing the good things you know how to do in your life. You're creating these good habits in your life based on what you already know, and you're studying to learn more and more in the future, so you're always constantly improving. That's how you become successful. Now, I also recommend having good emotional habits. Again, we talked about emotions before and the ego and how that can get in the way of your relationships and your success in business. So great things that I've found to improve my emotional habits is, first of all, journaling. Journaling is such an amazing healing tool. And I'm sure, if you've been a writer for long, you've found that writing, just the writing process itself, is incredibly healing emotionally. So one of the great things I found to do in my journal is wonderful. I love it. It's so amazing for me. I used to think that it was all about positivity and you had to just write positive things in your journal and write down what you're grateful for. And those things are great. But what I actually found is that writing down the most negative things possible, that's the good stuff that I like to put in my journal, because it just gets it out of my mind, right? So if I'm upset about something in work or a project that didn't go well or a personal relationship or an argument I had with someone, I write it down in my journal. And every single time when I write it down in my journal afterwards, I just feel this huge release. Like, I just let go of all these emotions. I just got it down on paper. It's in my journal. And I usually just throw away the paper too. I just jot it down, I write it down, and I just throw away that paper. And I let it go. And just that simple process of just writing things down and processing those emotions helps me get it off my mind. So my mind isn't constantly racing, all these things in the past, these arguments I had, all these bad things that happened. I'm able to let go of that. And so I can focus on the present moment and focus on the work at hand that I need to do to move my life in the right direction. That simple process of journaling for me has become, instrumental to my success. And I highly recommend it for you. Other things I do is personal development. So reading books on emotional intelligence, taking courses and seminars on relationships and communication and things like that can really help you improve your emotional life. Emotion is such a huge aspect of being human. And if you can't control your emotions well, you're going to find it's really tough to have good relationships and good long-term success, right? Because even if you do get lots of money and lots of success and, one big emotional blow up can throw it all down the drain. Doing something because of emotion where you weren't aware, you weren't present, you weren't making the best decision for yourself in that moment can throw away all your success overnight. So I think it's really crucial to master this stuff even before you get the success so that you can maintain it. And then finally, a good habit is learning. You should constantly be learning. You should have a habit every single day where you're reading new books or you're studying something, you're learning new ideas. Every single day, learn new ideas. And what I recommend when you're learning is do two things. So first of all, learn what you really want to learn. Right? So, if you're really curious about, you always want to learn about, science or physics or being an astronaut or something like that, study books on that, right? And it might not have any relationship to what you're doing in your career and might not actually help you make more money. But just by following your curiosities, you kind of let yourself explore new ideas and new places. And those new ideas you'll learn, I guarantee you will someday percolate into your writing and help you become a better writer. And the other thing I recommend you do is always study things that will help you be more successful. So take a list of what skills you have right now and where you could improve, or what new skills you could add on, right? So if you're a fantastic writer, you're a world-class writer, you have all the writing skills in the world, but you have no idea about marketing. That means if you just learn a little bit about marketing, just can dramatically improve your results as an author. So take a look, be honest with yourself, what are the skills that I have right now, and rate yourself from 1 to 10, how good are you at writing? 1 to 10, how good are you at marketing? 1 to 10, how good are you at understanding your genre that you're writing in? And scale yourself here, and then look at, okay, where are the opportunities for me to learn and grow, and study those things. Right, study things that are going to be useful for you. If you're broke right now, you don't need to study stock market investing and real estate investing and all this stuff, right? Because it's like you don't have any money to invest, so what's the point? Focus on learning right now what you need right to move in the right direction. That I have found is the most powerful way to make progress in your life, is by studying the things you can implement right away that will improve your life. Now, we got to talk about bad habits. So it's not enough just to have good habits in place, because it's going to take time to, first of all, to build good habits, but also because bad habits tend to crowd out good habits. If you've got lots of bad habits, it doesn't leave any space for you to create something new. So I'll give you an example from my own life. I was addicted to video games for many, many years, and I would just spend so much time on video games that I didn't have enough time to write. I didn't have time to work on my business, to take care of my health, to take care of my relationships, right? And a lot of folks I know are addicted to video games and, computer screens and, Facebook and social media and news and TV, right? There's all kinds of things you can be addicted to, all kinds of habits you can have that are basically just sucking away your time, sucking away your energy, sucking away the results you could be getting in life. And if you can just learn to eliminate those habits, just quit, just stop doing it, eliminate those bad habits, it frees up all that time, all that energy, all that effort that you can then transfer into your good habits. A lot of folks I've talked to said, hey, I don't have much time to write. I've only got, 30 minutes a day to write. That's it. Now, first of all, you can actually be successful with 30 minutes a day of writing if you're really, really good with it. But the other thing is that, if you only have 30 minutes a day of writing, chances are you've got some bad habits that are sucking up your time. Right, you're probably spending your time on some activities that aren't taking you in the direction you really want to go with your life, and you have to be honest with yourself about that. And what I found is that you have to ask for help. I could never have broken my video game addiction just by myself. I needed the help of family, of my partner, of counselors and mentors and people who have been through there before. I needed help from other people. I had to get to the point where I was so stuck in that addiction, where I was so miserable with how my life was at that point, that I had to ask for help. If you've got some bad habits in your life, even if it's something simple, it's just watching TV, it's not a big deal, Tom. I just watch TV for an hour a night. Well, that hour a night you could be spent on writing. You could be spent on writing your next bestseller, right? You could spend on that 1 hour a night could be the difference between you earning all the money you need to support your family and more, and quit your full-time job and achieve all your dreams, or not. That 1 hour can make all the difference for you. And so it might seem like a small thing, not a big deal, but everything in life counts. Every little thing in life matters. And if you can eliminate those bad habits, even the small ones, of course you want to focus on the big ones, right? If you've got a big one, you're watching TV 5 hours a day, you're playing computer games 5 hours a day, you're doing something not productive for a lot of time, then by all means, focus on the big habits. It's going to make a huge difference in your life. But even small habits can make a big difference too. So take a list of all your bad habits. Write down in your journal right now, what are the bad habits I have? What are the things I'm doing every day that I could stop doing to free up time, to free up space, to free up energy to really get what I want to get in life? Now, another point I want to make about habits is, we talked earlier about consistency. It's so important to have that consistent work effort, to have a consistent habits and daily activity to make you successful. And so this is a great analogy I like to think of, baseball. So in baseball, there's batting average, right? And a lot of folks think that consistency is what is your batting average, right? So if you bat 600, that's really good. It means 6 out of 10 times you're at bat, you're going to hit the ball. But honestly, I don't think batting average matters. It's irrelevant in life, right? You could bat 100, 1 out of 10 times you hit. Doesn't matter. What matters is consistency, right? It doesn't matter how good you are at the game. What matters is how consistently you play. If you show up to play every single day, you show up to write every single day. I don't care if you're the worst writer in the world. If you show up to write every single day and you're constantly learning, you're constantly striving to improve, I guarantee you a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, you're not going to be the worst writer in the world. You're going to be one of the top writers in the world because you had that dedication to work on it every single day. So don't worry about how good you are right now, what your skill level is. All you need to worry about is consistent activity, because that's what will make you successful. Obstacle number 4 is teamwork. You have to have the ability to work well with the team to be successful. And the big mistake a lot of folks make is they think, I can do it all myself. I'm the one, I'm the master, I'm the author, I'm the artist. That's the biggest mistake you can make, to think you can, because there's no way In the world we live in today, there is no way you can be successful all by yourself. It's not how the world works. Like, let's say you even want to get food, right? You want to put food in your belly so you can actually live. Just that simple process of going to the grocery store and buying food. There were thousands of people involved in that process. I mean, the people who grew the food for you, the people who shipped the food there, the people who put the food out in the supermarket, the people who built that supermarket, the people who create all the system there, the people who have banks who allow us to transfer money so you can actually put that stuff on your credit card and actually get, pay for that produce, right? All that stuff requires this huge web of other people to be successful. Everything we do in life requires other people. The society we live in is so interconnected today. There's nothing you can do all by yourself. Especially when we talk about, earning a full-time income as an author, achieving great results. To think you can do it by yourself is ridiculous, because that's just not how the world works today. So the thing is, like, no one does it alone. Success is a team sport. And I know it might sound cliche, but it is absolutely so true. And your goal should be, first of all, you want to be the leader on your team. You're the captain. And you also want to play your role. You're also a player on the team. So if you're writing books, you're one of the players on your team, you're the writer. You want to be the best you can possibly be in your role on the team. So the big mistake a lot of folks make is they say, they look around their team and say, oh, you're not good enough. You're not a good enough publisher. You're not a good enough cover designer. You're not a good enough editor. And you point out all the mistakes in everyone else around you instead of actually working on your own. Of course, if you've got bad people on the team, you need to get them off the team, right? But you also have to constantly focus on improving your own results, on improving your own performance on the team. So here's some ideas I've learned about, really finding the right team and creating the best team so you can be successful. First of all, be an A player. Again, just focus on being the best you can possibly be. If you're not an A player right now, that's okay. You don't have to be the best writer in the world, but you better have A player habits, right? You better be writing every day like an A player. You better be learning every day like an A player. You better be studying every day like an A player. You better be open to new information and new feedback and new criticism like an A player. And the thing is, like, if you're not an A player, then it's going to be very hard to find A players to work with. Like, if you're a B player or a C player, to be really successful today, to earn a full-time income, it's tough. The way you do that is you're committed to your own success. You're committed to your own excellence. And by being so committed to your own success and your own excellence, you rise up to become an A player. And then you start attracting other people, right? You start attracting people to you who are on that same wavelength, right? Because A players don't want to work with C players. You get tired of people who, don't respond to emails and don't act professionally and don't do what they say they're going to do. Like, why would you waste your time with someone like that? If they're obviously not committed to their own success, then why would you be more committed to the project than they are, right? That's what people think when you're not performing at the top of your game. Strive, first of all, to be the best you can possibly be, and that will help you attract A players. And then you want to work with A players. So when you're hiring people, make sure they're the best people you can find. Now, when you're just starting out and you're brand new, you might not be able to find the best people in the world, and that's okay. The truth is, like, when you're brand new, you honestly won't even know how to recognize an A player, right? I mean, you won't really know if someone is truly an A player if they just talk a lot of stuff, right? They're just really, they might talk the talk, but not actually walk the walk. So you're not going to know right out of the gate as a brand new author, if it's the best cover designer in the world, if it's the best editor in the world. You're going to learn from experience, and that's part of the process. But you want to strive to be an A player yourself and to work with A players. And you want to constantly study and teach. You want to constantly be helping your team improve. Right? So instead of pointing out all the mistakes your team is making and trying to put them down, you want to help lift them up. So when you see something that, your cover designer or your editor or someone on your team could do to improve, you say, hey, I learned about this. Have you ever thought about this? Right? And you share good ideas with them. You study to learn to improve, and you help them improve, and you lead by example. People want to be surrounded with great leaders. And, especially in the publishing industry, I mean, you look at a lot of cover designers and editors and folks out there who help authors. They're often not really great leaders, right? They're often like really good, I know a lot of editors are just really good editors. They're amazing editors. But they're not leaders in the sense that, they're not the one who's going to take your book and take it all the way and get it published and make it a bestseller and do the marketing right. You're the leader of your team. And so you have to lead by example. And if you're expecting, your editor to go way out of the way for you, to go way beyond the call of duty, to help you way beyond what a reasonable person would do, it's unlikely to happen, right? But if you lead them to work, right? If you show them you're so committed to making this the best book possible, you're willing to put in time to do 5 extra revisions, 10 extra revisions, 20 extra revisions, because you're so committed to it, then they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like, this is so cool. Like, this author is giving me like this manuscript back like the 3rd time, and it's so much better now, and they're just so committed to it. Like, yeah, I'm I would like to work with someone like that. And what happens when you do that, when you just prove it, you're so committed to your success, is like people give you a break. And people want to help you out. Like you'll get discounts from people. Editors will say, hey, yeah, I'll do another edit for free for you, right? And it doesn't happen every time, and you shouldn't expect it to happen every time. But it happens because people want to help out people who are leaders. When they see that sparkle in your eyes, they see your dedication, your commitment to your own success, they want to be on your team. Why would you ever not want to work with someone like that? Like someone who's so committed to their own success, you want to be in that team, right? So lead by example. Prove to other people with your actions, not just your words, that you're serious about being a successful author and that you're willing to put the work in. You're willing to put the effort in. You're not going to shy away from fixing typos. You're not going to shy away from, studying at the source. You're not going to shy away from learning sentence structure and usage and all the things you can do to become a better writer. You're not going to shy away from the hard work. You're willing to put that effort in, and it proves to other people that you're someone worth working with and someone they want to work with. And that's how you build a great team. All right, now the number 5 barrier to success is rigidity, right? The world is constantly changing. The publishing landscape is completely different today than it was 10 years ago. Even just 5 years ago, when I published my first book about 6 years ago, it's a completely different world right now. Ebook sales have skyrocketed. Digital audiobook sales are skyrocketing. Print book sales are down by over $10 billion globally. I mean, the industry is changing so fast right now. And so if you are not open to change, if you're not flexible, your chances of success is so minuscule. If you are stuck with these old beliefs and old attachments about how the world used to work, then you're not going to be adapting to what's actually working right now. And all the decisions you make about how you write your books and how you publish your books and how you market your books are going to be based on outdated information. And it's going to be very tough to be successful that way. So you want to be flexible. Right, and a great metaphor is like, the oak tree and the bamboo, right? You want to be like the bamboo. You want to be flexible like the bamboo, not rigid like the oak tree. And I've actually had, the privilege of growing up in Indiana to see oak trees just snap in big windstorms. I mean, in Indiana, we had tornadoes, and I've seen just oak trees just snap in the wind, just fall right over. Huge 100-foot tall oak trees just fall over on the wind. And I've also had the pleasure of living in Hawaii and see bamboo. And out here, we've got hurricanes, and I've seen bamboo trees in 50, 60, 80 mile per hour winds, just swaying in the breeze, just having the time of their life, just going back and forth. Sometimes they'll touch the ground on one side and swing back and touch the ground all the way on the other side. They never break. They just keep bending. They're so flexible, right? And you want to be like that bamboo. You want to be so flexible so that no matter what storms come in life, no matter what problems and challenges come in life, you are always flexible and adapting to change. It's not going to break you. If Amazon goes out of business tomorrow, it's not going to break you because you're flexible. Right? Because you're a great author, you're a great writer, and you can adapt to whatever the world throws at you. That's the hallmark of a successful person, that they're willing to change, they're flexible, they bend, they do not break. So you want to be flexible, right? As circumstances change in life, you've got to change what you do, right? So you want to be adapting to life, right? Don't try to change the way the universe works. A hallmark of someone who's probably not going to be successful is that they're constantly trying to change the way the world works. Right? They're constantly saying, oh, well, if the Democrats were in the White House, it would be better. If the Republicans were in the White House, it would be better. If financial regulations changed, everything would be different. If Amazon gave, a bigger break to new authors, everything would be different, right? It's like if you're constantly complaining about the way the world actually is, and you think that if maybe the universe was slightly different, you would actually be successful, you're just fooling yourself, right? Because the universe is the way it is. Whatever is right now is the way it is. We're floating around a rock in the middle of a solar system, in the middle of this gigantic galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, and there's billions of galaxies out there just doing their thing. The universe is just doing what it's doing, right? Nature is just doing what it's doing. Earth is doing what it's doing. And politicians are doing what they're doing. And constantly focused on all this stuff outside of you, you're not going to be successful because you're going to give away all your energy, all your creativity, all that good power you have to make a difference in the world. You're giving it all away by wasting it on all of that. Instead of trying to change the way the universe actually is, you want to try to figure out how it actually is and adapt. Focus on what you can do to make your dreams come true based on the way the universe actually works right now. Right? And the way I look at it is like life is an experiment. Folks ask me all the time, how can I guarantee I get, this many sales for my books? Or what is the best marketing strategy for X or whatever? It's like, I don't know. I have I can't predict the future. No one can predict the future. Right? So when someone asks me what is the best method of marketing a book or whatever, first of all, I mean, you got to know exactly what you're talking about, because you can't just give blanket strategies for every single book, because marketing a poetry book versus marketing a romance novel versus marketing a children's book versus marketing a self-help book is, in a lot of ways similar, but in a lot of ways completely different. The reader is completely different. So where you go to find those readers and get your message in front of those readers is completely different. The strategy you use, the messaging you use for those readers is completely different. You have to first of all understand how the world works, and then treat it like an experiment and try new things, test out different things, right? When we launch a new book for a client, I mean, we're just trying out a whole bunch of things. And usually what we do is we experiment with things we've already done before, right? So we've got, all these systems, all these marketing strategies, how to find reviewers and how to get bloggers to review our books and all these things that we do. We've done this before and it's worked before, but we don't know if it's going to work this time. We don't know if it's going to work for this author. So we're constantly trying new things. We're constantly experimenting with marketing. We're constantly experimenting with different publishing strategies. We're constantly experimenting with different pricing, because you don't know how things are going to change in the future, right? You don't know what's going to work for a particular book or a particular project at a particular time. So you've got to constantly be trying new things and then learn from your mistakes. If you try something and it doesn't work, well, see what you can learn from that, right? And you have to also kind of be honest with yourself and like, okay, did this not work because the strategy doesn't work, or is there something else that could be causing this failure, right? So like, for example, for marketing and advertising, a huge mistake folks make is they have bad book titles and bad book covers and bad book descriptions and bad messaging, and they don't know who their customer is. So then they go out and spend a bunch of money on marketing, and they say, oh, Facebook ads don't work. Marketing on forums doesn't work. Amazon ads don't work. Email marketing doesn't work. But you're saying all these marketing strategies don't work, even though they've worked for millions of other authors, right? And millions of other authors have been successful using these strategies. So maybe it's not the strategy that's not working. Maybe it's those other aspects, those other elements that aren't working. So make sure when you're learning from your mistakes that you actually diagnose what is the real problem there, instead of just having this kind of blanket instant reaction to what you think might have been the problem. When you're trying new things and you find something that does work, make sure you do more of that. Right? So if you're a blogging and you start getting lots of traffic on your blog and lots of comments and lots of people buying your book from your blog, keep doing that. A big mistake a lot of folks make is they start to try all these different things and they test out social media and blogging and podcasts and all this stuff. And one of the things starts working really well, right? They get really successful on their blog and they say, oh, well, cool, my blog's doing well. I'm going to go try to find out how to do better on YouTube now. And I'm going to do some stuff on Pinterest now. And I'm going to check out Snapchat. And you end up spending all your time and energy on trying out all these new things instead of focusing on what you found out that already works, right? If you already found out something that's really working well for you, focus more energy and more effort in that one thing. And so you still want to test out new things and try new things, but most of your energy, 80% of your energy and effort should be focused on doing more of what works. And we know for authors, number one thing that works, especially if you're like a novelist or you're a fiction writer, is just writing, right? So like 80% of your time should be writing, because we know every time you add a new book to your title, to your catalog, you publish a new book, it's going to increase your earnings for all of your titles, right? Because you're going to be attracting new readers, and your new readers are going to be buying all your other books in your backlist as well. So we know that works, like for everybody, for every fiction author, writing more books just works. So when you find out what works for you, focus 80% of your time and energy and effort on doing what works, and 20% on trying new things. I want to check in with you and see if what you're doing right now is actually working. So are you doing what's working right now in the markets? In 2017, here's a couple things that are working exceptionally well. So first of all, writing to market. So writing to market is essentially a strategy of learning who your readers are, learning what they want, and then giving them what they want. And so the best way to do this, I think, for most folks is like most folks, you write a novel or a book or whatever and you publish it. And I think that's a great thing to do. Get your book published as soon as possible so you can get it out in the market. So you can start getting reviews, so you can start getting sales and customers and people signing up for your email newsletter and so forth. And what that's going to do is going to give you feedback. You're going to get real world feedback from real people who actually paid to buy your book. I'm not talking about feedback from family members and, author groups who never want to criticize you. I'm talking about getting real world feedback from real customers who actually paid money to buy your book. That's going to help you so much, and it's going to help you understand who your readers are and what they really want. And then what I found with a lot of folks, the path that they take is they publish a couple books, right? And especially like for novelists and stuff, it's usually like, one or two or three novels in a series. And then they finish that series, right? And you review all the feedback you've gotten and all the stuff you've learned, and then they start to study, the best sellers in their markets and the genres that they're interested in. And you start to see kind of patterns and differences and things going on in the market. And you start to think, hey, you know what? This series wasn't super successful, right? It's my first series. That's okay. It's not normally going to be very successful for your first series you write, but it's a great learning opportunity to to discover, you know, again, what your readers really want. And then what a lot of times will happen is like your first, you know, book, you might be writing like a, you know, a romance mystery, you know, with fantasy elements, and it's kind of like this cross genre thing all over the place. And then what you realize is your readers love your fantasy elements. You know, your best reviews are from readers who love the fantasy parts of your book. And so you realize that, you know, all this stuff you've learned, and through all your experiences along that process, you discover, hey, you know what? I think if I wrote an urban fantasy, I think that would be the best fit for my readers. I think that's what they would love. I think that's a big market right now. I think that's something I could create a unique story and a unique viewpoint in that genre, and I could market my new book as an urban fantasy, and I could be the best author in that urban fantasy genre. And that's writing to market. Right, is testing things out, trying different things, seeing what works, getting feedback from what you do, getting feedback from real buyers who pay money to buy your books, and then deciding based on that information you learn along the process to write to a specific market, to a specific genre, usually something that's trending right now, usually something that's really popular right now. So some small tweaks to the way you wrote your last book can make this, you know, slightly different genre, a slightly different message. And that can be the difference between selling, you know, 100 books a month and 1,000, 10,000 books a month, writing to market. So that's one thing that was really working well for a lot of folks right now, is learning to write to market. Another thing is email marketing. Like you have to have an email marketing list. If you don't, you need to get that done. So under this video, you'll have links to how to learn how to set up your email marketing campaigns. And also you need to have your website built. Right? You have to have an author website because it's going to help you with your email marketing. It's going to help people find you online. It's just kind of a basic thing you need to have done. Again, you can get it done for like $30. There's a free training video underneath this that will walk you through that process. So these are some basic things that are working right now. So if you haven't done this yet, go ahead and do that. All right, now in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can partner with TCK Publishing to take your writing and publishing career to the next level. So if you're looking for an awesome publishing partner, a mentor, a company that can help you with the publishing, with your marketing, with your branding, with everything you need to take your career to the next level, I'm going to talk about that in the next video. All right, I'll see you there. If you like this video and enjoy this presentation, please go ahead and click the like button below. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Post your comments, any questions you have below. We're more than happy to help any way we can. Any information you need to succeed, we want to be able to provide that for you. And if you know other writers, other authors out there who would find this information valuable, it could help them change their life, please go ahead and share this with them. Share this on Facebook and Twitter. Email the link to folks you think would be valuable for. Share this with your local writers group. It will make a huge difference in their life, and we really appreciate all of your support. Okay? Again, it's Corson-Knowles, founder of TCK Publishing, wishing you an incredible day. Take care.